Brace yourself for a contrarian review, guys. On this episode of Rotten Reviews, I'm going to take a look at the 2012 film Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. I'll just say right off the bat that Rotten Tomatoes, the critics consider this rotten at a 52% on the tomato meter. And the audience score, for whatever reason, is actually at a 63% and is not rotten. And that's with 118,580 reviews as of December 29, 2019. I'm going to have to completely disagree on this one. I'm going to have to say that this deserves to be rotten. And I've seen this film 2.5 times, not quite three, couldn't sit through it all the way on the third, but I've seen it 2.5 times. I was paying attention completely. And it's really bad, and it's just completely boring. Its biggest crime is just boredom. It could have been great. It had two great stars. It had great supporting cast. It had, everything going for it. It had a budget. The setting wasn't bad. But unfortunately, everything that it does, it does it in a boring way. And there's nothing new here. There's nothing exciting. Even the parts that are supposed to be high action, high energy scenes, it had the money to do it. It really tried, but it did it all in a very boring fashion. And I think this is just a failure on the director's part because the script isn't even that bad. It could have worked as is, just the way the plot unrolls. It could have been just fine. It could have been exciting. It could have actually deserved a 63%. Hell, it could have deserved an 80% if this had been done right. But this, to me, just feels like a failure of the director. He just didn't know how to make something exciting. Or her, or whoever the hell it was. I'm not even going to bother figuring out who it was because they should just do better, take some classes, remedial directing classes, or study a whole lot of films that do this type of thing better, because this should have been much better. It shouldn't have been boring. It should not have bored me. And it bored me on both 2.5 times that I watched this. And the reason it's 2.5 times instead of three is because that boredom, that's just, not a lot to say there, except you really have better things to do in today's modern world. Everything else that's not boring is a click away. So this director needs to realize that boredom ain't gonna cut it. So anyway, right off the bat, I'm going to say the movie's biggest flaw, other than being boring, is the shaky cam. This thing just loves shaky cam. Shaky cam, shaky cam, shaky cam, handheld shaky cam. It's not a question of which scenes were ruined with handheld shaky cam, but which scenes were actually filmed in a traditional way, which scenes might have actually used dolly setups, which scenes might have actually used the traditional Steadicam setup. I don't know. There probably weren't very many of those scenes because almost every minute of this thing is nothing but handheld shaky cam shots. And I'm sorry, but film students that don't know any better, that just use the built-in cheapo image optimization that's in a handheld camcorder, or even on their cell phone, the cheapest model of cell phone, the shots come out better than this. And, even when two characters are sitting in a bar at a small table or a booth together, they have to just do everything with these handheld camera shots there, where the cameras don't quite get their faces all in the frame, and it's shaking all over the place. And this shaky cam actually destroys even the intimate moments that could have worked in this film. This film has an actual intimate moment between Ryan Reynolds' character and his girlfriend, where he's got to as a CIA agent, he's got to kind of give her the rub off. He's got to kind of reveal that he's working for the CIA, and he's got to get her out of the action for her own good. And there's an intimate moment there, and it's kind of ruined by the shaky cam. You can't be intimate in a moment like that between two characters where they're close together and they're sharing this moment and the camera's just shaking all over the place. What the hell was the director thinking? He failed. He's a complete failure. what is the obsession with the shaky cam? I've seen it done in TV shows and it's completely off-putting there, but I guess it has its fanboys. And I've seen this done in so many movies, particularly action movies, where it's all jittery and jumpy and shaky from these handheld cams, and it's quite deliberate. It's not like accidental. They're deliberately turning off any image optimization or stabilization, and they're just shaking the thing all over like they're drunk, and you feel like you're drunk when you're watching this thing. I don't get how this is supposed to make something exciting. If the director thought that his lack of ability to make a movie exciting could just be compensated by the shaky cam, he should know it doesn't work. And that 63% on that audience score, I'm going to dig into this thing and find out why that is, if there's even a reason behind that, because I wanted to like this so much. It had everything going for it, and it was just boring. It was just boring, and the shaky cam was so annoying that it had like one or two plot holes in it, but that wasn't the problem. It was the shaky cam and the boredom. And let's get right into this. We have a review right at the top, audience review from November 18, 2019. So about a month and 2 weeks ago. 3 stars. It was okay. Grab a beer or two. Yeah, maybe if you've drank 2 beers or more, you're already a little bit buzzed, so the shaky cam just feels natural to you because that's the way you're seeing things. Or maybe you're going to need 6 to get there. I think I would need an entire 6-pack if I'm going to view like a scene in a restaurant the way this movie does. I'm going to be like a 6-pack in, and I've maybe had like 4 or 5 shots on top of that 6-pack, and then things might look like the way this director portrays everything, all shaking and stumbling all over the place. It's totally drunk. I'm not going to read 4-star and 5-star reviews because there's no point. This is called Rotten Reviews for a reason. 1 star from June 7. Wow, I didn't really expect this to be great or anything, but it is surprisingly boring. The direction was so poor, along with the camera work, the story, everything. I probably would have fallen asleep if I had seen this at the theater. It looks like a really lame 90s action movie. No, it doesn't look anything like a 90s action movie. 90s action movies didn't use this handheld shaky cam. No way. If you had done this in the 90s, you would have been booted out of the Film Directors Guild or whatever it is, because I've never seen any movie made in the 90s that looked all drunken and screwed up like this. This is a current modern day style of filmmaking. I don't know who thinks it's good, but they're retards. They need to be put through remedial directing classes or something. This is not from the 90s. You're insulting the memory. Just my memory of the 90s is insulted by the way the director did this thing, that shaky camera work. Yeah, it's boring, and if I had seen this in the theater, see, I can't imagine what it would have been like at the theater, because I watched this just yesterday on a 50-inch screen, not the biggest screen, but not a small one, and I was I was within a few feet of the screen most of the time, and it was shaking so much on a 50-inch screen. Can you imagine? I mean, I just can't imagine what it's like to sit in a full-size movie theater, even if you're in the good middle of the, room seats. Your head must be whipping all over this place. Maybe you have to bring like some kind of Visine re-wetting drops or moisture drops for your eyes, because your eyes are going to be just darting all over the place with all the shakiness, because it's drunken. It looks completely drunken the way the cameras are all over the place. Just a wall of that in a movie theater, I'd be wanting a refund, and I'd be wanting them to pay for my eye drops, because my eyes are maybe the contacts are gonna fall right out of my eyes from how dry they are. I just can't even imagine. Let's move on. 3 stars, May 7, 2019, not English. 1 star, May 2nd, uninteresting and boring thriller. Yeah, it's hard to even call this a thriller because there's nothing thrilling here. You would think there would be. I mean, you've got a CIA agent that's in charge of, keeping watch on a safe house in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and you would think all kinds of adventures can come into that scenario. I mean, I could probably scrawl out like about 40 on the back of a couple of napkins, if I had 10 free minutes. It would be easy to find exciting things in that premise. But no, this movie somehow makes that boring. it somehow makes that boring, and it brings, Ryan Reynolds is the CIA agent who's running the safe house. He's there because it's kind of shown that the CIA, well, they say that he's a competent officer, but obviously they don't really like him too much, so they stick him there for a long period of time where he's got nothing to do, just sitting around the safe house and checking in and whatnot. And he's got a girlfriend on the side, but he's still like going crazy, just sitting in the safe house. And then all of a sudden one day, this wanted terrorist and spy that's been busted as a traitor to the United States. He's been on the run for years, and he was a trainer at one point in the CIA, and he's brought into the safe house. He's brought into custody into the safe house, and it should be so exciting because Denzel Washington is this character, and he plays this type of character very well. But both of these actors are given very little to do in the script. Their dialogue's rather uninteresting, and they really try, especially Denzel Washington. He's really trying for what they have him doing. There's no question about that. But it doesn't have him doing a whole lot, and nothing's really exciting about it, nothing that we haven't seen before. And well, you can say a movie was made and people got paid. Obviously, Denzel Washington probably got paid very well for this. He should get paid very well. He's got that name recognition, and yet he didn't have to do a whole lot here, so I would imagine he found this very interesting, and maybe he found this a boring production because he didn't have a lot to do, but he really tried in the scenes he was in. I just find it very, very disappointing that all these big name actors, and even in the supporting roles, we had bigger name stars, and it just added up to a whole lot of boredom. 2 stars, April 10th, 2019, with action and a story that failed to keep you engaged. Safe House is not worth checking out, even with the great stars that lead. 2 out of 5, forgettable. Yeah, I would have forgotten about it. However, I just remember it being so boring. That's why this popped up on my list of things to review on Rotten Reviews. It just popped up in my mind because I remember being so disappointed with how boring it was, and nothing that happened in the plot was memorable, that's for sure. 3 stars, April 10, 2019. A plot is sadly flawed when the enemy want the asset alive but are shooting at the car he's escaping in. Yeah, there's a little bit of a plot hole in that. They want Denzel Washington's character to be taken alive, but man, they're really trying hard to kill him. In the real world, they would have killed him a few times over. It's only because of his own skills, his own tradecraft, so to speak, that he's managed to stay alive. So that's a big plot hole. And then on my list, the other pretty big plot hole in this that's kind of jarring is that at one point in the movie, Denzel Washington's character, he looks up an old CIA buddy that's in a slum area outside of Johannesburg, and he's kind of got a setup where he's making fake IDs for people on the side. He's making passports and driver's licenses and fake documents for people as a side business. In any case, the big plot hole here is that it's shown in the film that he can actually make you a new identity in, like, I guess what would have been about 30 to 40 minutes in the film, no more than that. I'm sorry, but that's just not the way it works. I don't care what kind of equipment you have. You're not going to make a driver's license in such a short amount of time, and you're not also going to come up with a passport and stuff like that, or supporting documents in such a short amount of time when some guy just shows up one night and decides that he needs this stuff really fast. It just doesn't work that way, but the movie wants us to think that it works like that. I'm sorry, it doesn't, and that to me is the biggest plot point problem in this. I can kind of excuse the bad guy shooting at him because the movie shows that he's not the one that they really want, but they want information that's kept on this microchip that's in his possession. So if they're thinking, the bad guys are thinking that he's got this in his possession, and in the movie he's actually got this microchip inserted into his body, like around his rib cage in a little capsule. It's been put under his skin. So if they know that, it doesn't say directly that they know that's where he's got it hidden, but if they do know that's where he's got it, then certainly they don't need him alive. They just need his body so they can get it into their possession. So that's not a really big plot problem for me. It's just that fake ID stuff that's the real problem. The rest of it, it's just the boredom and the shaky cam that make this thing rotten. Half a star, February 25, 2019. Felt like it dragged on for years. Yeah, and I'll just mention there's a scene that takes place at the big soccer stadium in Johannesburg. I don't know if that's the real location, but that's what the movie shows it as. And there's a soccer match going on, and it should be exciting. The police capture both Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington's characters, and they have to escape from the police, and Ryan Reynolds has to capture Denzel Washington on top of it. And there's a lot of action going on, and a lot of gunfire, and a lot of different things happening at the soccer stadium, and all this chaotic stuff's going on. But yet the whole thing feels boring. There's not one part of it that this big scene at the soccer stadium where I felt engaged in it, like caught up in the action. There's all this stuff going on, and somehow the director fails to make any of that exciting at all. And that's just a complete fail. The director should be ashamed, in my opinion. All that money, all that production, all that stuff going on, and it all adds up to boredom. Really, really shameful on that. 3 stars, nothing that we haven't seen before, but this was done nicely and offered me 2 hours of good entertainment. Wow, you have low standards. You maybe have never seen an action movie before, because there are car chases in this that are just marginally exciting, but not really. A lot of it's just tricks of editing and nothing special. If you've never seen an action movie, if you've never seen a car chase, if you've never seen gunfire before, then this might come across as somehow exciting. Could be. Maybe you're living in a remote area of Uzbekistan or something where, the power's not on all the time, and when it is on at the same time you just happen to have a DVD from somewhere in your possession, then yeah, you haven't seen a lot of things, so this might be exciting to you. I just can't imagine a scenario much different than that this would be exciting to somebody, in my opinion. January 28, 2019, 3 stars. I decided to watch Safe House because it had one of my favorite actors in it, Denzel Washington, and oh boy, he delivered. Seriously, I can't think of a role that Denzel Washington hasn't absolutely nailed yet. He's an incredibly good actor, and Ryan Reynolds was really good in this movie as well. You can tell he knows how to get into the moment, and both he and Denzel added some serious depth to this movie, because this movie needed some. Firstly, why call it Safe House? Yeah, well, it starts off as a good review, doesn't it? And it has 3 stars, but it's starting to go bad. I see where he's going with this. Yeah, he's saying Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds did passable jobs. Denzel Washington tried really hard, you could tell. Ryan Reynolds, I have to say, he didn't do anything special. He could have been replaced with any other actor at all, because he didn't use his trademark humor at all, and he didn't do anything special. Really, he could have been replaced with absolutely anybody. And Denzel Washington, he was cast correctly, but Ryan Reynolds, nah, nothing special there. But he didn't ruin it or anything. Now, this reviewer is getting real interesting here, because he's saying, why call it Safe House? Well, I was asking myself that both times I watched the entire film. Yes, at the beginning you're in a safe house, and at the end of the movie you make a journey to another safe house. But really, most of the movie has nothing to do with anything in the safe house, so I think it's just lack of imagination why they called it Safe House, or marketing. Somebody in marketing decided that was a proper term that would be more exciting to get tickets sold, because, yeah, it really didn't need to be called Safe House. There's very little of the actual safe house in it. It could have been called something generic like On the Run, or whatever, Man on the Run or something. It's one of those type of things, and it's not done very well. November 23rd, 2018, so we're back a year in time, a little over a year. 2.5 stars. The cast is mostly good, especially Washington and Reynolds, but the director doesn't seem to have any idea what he's doing in the editing process, because it's a combination of stop and go without much of a smooth flow. Yeah, it just comes to a complete standstill at times. The pacing, it has a lot of action, and then it just slows down a lot, and then a lot of action, then just slows down a lot. But I didn't find that the flaw that killed it. It could have done that and still been very entertaining. So no, that's just something you notice because you're just bored. 3 stars, October 16, 2018. Horrible plot, but it's always good to see Denzel. Well, yeah, if you're a Denzel Washington completist or a fan, Yeah, you just get to see him do something else in this, but you've seen him do this stuff many times before. You've seen him play this type of character several times before. Nothing new to see, but if you just want to see him and make sure you're completing his whole filmography, then sure, go ahead. But otherwise, I can't recommend this. It's just too boring. 3 stars, August 10, 2018. It's extremely derivative as far as horrid cinematography and spy thrillers go, but it has great performances from its leads and an entertaining plot. It simply fails because of the popularity chaos camera, despite its temporarily ruining of action movies and a rough script. Yeah, they're largely agreeing with me. The biggest problem with this is the goddamn shaky cam, handheld shaky cam. That's like all the rage in certain circles in Hollywood. They think this is what people want to see in an action film. It is not. It doesn't work hardly ever. Perhaps it did work in a few films, but it's so overused and obvious and just like tiresome. Your eyeballs are tired whipping around trying to focus on what's happening. It's bad on a 50-inch screen. I just can't imagine how bad it looks on an actual movie theater screen. Maybe somebody will tell us. 3 stars, July 4th, 2018. Very low expectations meant I really enjoyed this nuts and bolts thriller. It's lifted way higher than it probably deserves by a pretty stellar cast, all who unbelievably are taking the terrible plot seriously. It's something about a big list of secret agents. You know the plot. It's the one Mission Impossible have been rehashing for every single one of their films. The action scenes pop though, and so does the limbs. Denzel is as always effortlessly cool. Great popcorn fun. They make a good point in this review. We've seen this story a million times over. Yeah, somebody has a list of spies that's compromised, or a list of double agents, or a list of dirty agents, etc. In this case, it's a list that was comprised or compiled by the Israeli Mossad, and they've got a dirty list of spies on multiple countries, including the U.S., of course. And everybody wants to get a hold of this, and that's the thing that everybody wants, the MacGuffin, if you will. And yeah, we've seen this a billion times before. Mission Impossible's done it several times. But in this case, it's just boring. There's nothing new to add. There's nothing new to say. And a whole lot of shaky cam. Whole lot of shaky cam. 2 stars, November 22nd, 2017. 2 years back in time now. This is a very thin and predictable story, a highly derivative film overall. I like Denzel Washington, but in this he seems to be operating half asleep most of the time. The movie seems like it's largely a rip-off of Bourne films and lacks much to hold us in the characters or the weak plot line. The direction and cinematography are fairly good, and Ryan Reynolds is better than I expected in the role that is really the core of the film, such as it is. The notion of dirty spies across various countries is not novel. Yeah, no kidding. We've seen it like dozens and dozens of times in the last 20 years. Countless numbers of times, probably. Now, yes, I kind of got that Bourne Identity feeling too a little bit. It felt like they were trying to make Ryan Reynolds' character into that kind of Bourne, into Matt Damon's character in a way. But it didn't work. The side plot with the girlfriend was kind of something out of a Bourne film, and it gave me that vibe too. But largely, it just bored the hell out of me. And I can say that most of the Bourne films also, they don't appeal to me. The first one was kind of unique when it first was released, but then to me, the Bourne Identity and the sequels, they're very boring to me. If a new one came out, I think there's 4 of those out there. If a new Bourne film came out, even with Matt Damon, there's no way I'd go see it in the theater. I might not even see it until it came out on HBO or something, because those have largely bored me too. There's nothing original there, and they do feature a lot of the handheld cam, but this is way worse than the handheld cam in any of the Bourne films. This thing is like a drunk person had control of the handheld cams. But there's a very slight Bourne side plot with the girlfriend thing going on, and you see what's going to happen. Of course, his girlfriend's going to kind of figure out that he's a spy, and he's been lying about where he's going to work every day, and of course, he's going to have a tearful moment where he gets rid of her. We expect that, and again, that's ruined by the shaky cam, so it's not even believable when that big moment comes. 1.5 stars, November 2017. Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds aside, Safe House suffers from a lazy plot and even lazier action that never entertains or justifies that R rating. Yeah, there's very little in this that really justifies an R rating. You know, I forgot it was R rated. You could have done this exact same thing with PG-13. Maybe there's some F bombs being dropped or something that bring it up to R, but there's no nudity or, gratuitous gore or anything like that. So I'm kind of wondering why the R rating myself. It's probably F bombs, it's probably language. But there's nothing in here that's overly violent, really. 3.5 stars, no, I'm not going to read it. 5 stars, not going to read it. I don't want to hear somebody, because they'll tell me 3.5, 4 stars, 5 stars, and then they'll like rip apart the movie. How can I take them seriously? They're either lying on the stars or they're lying on the review. I just don't get it, so I'm not going to bother. 2 stars, kind of muddled but watchable. Can't remember anything about it. Yeah, except you were just bored. 3 stars, May 2017. Not a bad plot, but The Equalizer was way better. Yeah, The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. Even The Equalizer, the second one with Denzel Washington. Neither one of them was that memorable to me, but they were better than this. They were filmed much better production quality. Denzel had much more to do, and he was more convincing. But those weren't like 4-star reviews either. But certainly much better than this one, no question about it. 3 stars, January 2017. One of Denzel Washington's biggest box office successes. Blood and guts for those who love spy thrillers, but to this viewer it was a string of Cape Town action sequences without enough holding the plot together. I don't know if this was that big of a box office success. If it was the most boring that happened to be a success. Haven't looked at the numbers, don't know. It's possible, I guess. Blood and guts, not very much on that. There's a lot of people being shot, but it's not real gratuitous with the blood, in my opinion. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of it, it's all in South Africa. Again, there's no reason why an action movie, a spy thriller, can't work all in Cape Town. It's just the fact that this director just doesn't know how to put together a movie and make it exciting. I don't know what the problem was. I'm not a director myself, so I can't really nail that down. 3 stars, January 2017. It's a good movie to watch. Okay, that's our old friend Muhammad A. He shows up on almost every movie I take a look at with the same review, mostly with 3 stars, but sometimes he puts 2.5 stars. One day we'll get the backstory on him. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. January 3rd, well, now we're back to December 2016. So that is almost exactly 3 years ago. 2.5 stars. Decent if typical Hollywood action thriller with by now obligatory rah-rah underpinnings. By the numbers, picked out the surprise twist ending bad guy in under 2 minutes. The cast simply needs to show up and be charming, and this much they manage. There's no real teeth here, though. Yeah, I guess there's a plot twist, but it's so contrived and easy to spot that I didn't consider it a twist. The actual handler or boss of Ryan Reynolds' character, he's the bad guy all along, and it's kind of a twist where he shows up and kills off another CIA supervisor. But it's not really a twist because it's so obvious that you see it coming from so far away in the film that I almost, can't consider it a twist. It just happens. To me, it's just something that happens, and it's not really exciting either. The actor that plays this person, he's a well-known actor and he does a competent job, but again, nothing really memorable or worth seeing there. 3 stars, September 2016. Didn't expect too much, hence not too disappointed. An okay movie to watch at home with no major surprises. The pace does keep you watching it, though. Oh, it barely keeps you watching it. Yeah, the pace, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It speeds up and slows down a few times, but action movie wise, like you've seen it all before, done much better, and the star power is just so wasted because it's so boring. They have nothing to do that takes advantage of their talents, really. They just kind of can phone it in and collect their money. August 3rd, 2016, 2 stars. Denzel Washington is always great, and Ryan Reynolds seems to get better with age, but who the hell edited this mess? It was almost irritating to watch, especially with the grainy to clear picture quality. Although it was a worn out script, if they hadn't edited with a lawnmower, it would have been passable. Yeah, thank you for bringing up the actual film quality itself. There are some scenes that it's very grainy, like they're trying to do a retro thing, make it look like it's old film stock from the 1970s. And then, that's in an interior scene mostly where Denzel Washington is meeting with somebody else, with another spy, I guess. And then when he walks outside from this restaurant bar building where it's a little bit dark and it's kind of grainy in there, he walks outside and it's all clear and sharp again, and you're like out of the 70s and back into the 90s or what, modern times. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know if that was some artistic choice or that's a failure on the part of the camera people, a failure in production, because the shaky cam stuff where nobody's faces were quite lined up or all in frame, and then on top of that putting that film grain, and you kind of look at it like this is like footage that was like picked up off the cutting room floor and it wasn't supposed to be in the film, but they put it in there. Because it's kind of hard to imagine how they thought it made it look good or something. It's very weird. But yeah, parts of the interiors at the beginning, they had like a look like it was old rejected film footage that shouldn't have made it into production, that it was washed out and grainy. 2 stars, July 23rd, 2016. Up and down. Down just edges it too, unfortunately, given the good ensemble cast. Yeah, the cast was wasted, and it's just a waste to have them in this film. 1.5 stars. Safe House is just loud and lacking in plot. I'll agree. 1.5 stars, December 5th, 2015. We are now almost exactly 4 years back in time. Simply uninteresting. Characters outside of Denzel are all stock characters. Shaky cam throughout all the action scenes make it feel like one of Tekken sequels. It starts off as something like Assault on Precinct 13, and then you just stop caring. Yeah, you stop caring and you're just like, I just watched it to for the second and a half time just to be a little bit refreshed for my review here. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it again. 3 stars, October 2015. We're 4 years back in time. More than 4 years. Tobin Frost, Denzel, played a great role, but the supporting cast didn't fit movie scheme. I don't know if they were miscast. It didn't feel like anybody was miscast. They weren't taken advantage of. They could have just put all B-movie actors in this and the film wouldn't have been any more better or worse for it. 2 stars. Half the film is ripped off the rock. The other half is cobbled together from some leftover 90s action movie script. Could be. Like I said, some of the footage feels like it's leftover cutting room floor footage that shouldn't have been put into the actual finished product. The quality is such of poor quality. 52% on the tomato meter. Well, there's no accounting for critics. I would have, if that had been 22%, I would have said okay. 63% on the audience score. I just can't agree. That should be more like 43%. I still haven't found out, going through this for half an hour, I haven't found out why somehow at some point in the past this got bumped up a lot higher than it should be. It was probably far back in the past. Maybe it was much closer to the 2012 release date. But I didn't go past 2015, and I saw a whole lot of mediocre reviews. So I don't know. I think this deserves to be under 50% certainly, and I'm going to see you on the next episode of Rotten Reviews.